when employees could be exposed to a substance hazardous to health in the workplace. Nature of substance and its possible effects. How it is to be used, transported and stored. Provision and use of control measures. Possible use of personal protective equipment including information on its availability. Storage, cleaning, maintenance and replacement. Procedures relating to personal hygiene monitoring. Health surveillance. Emergencies including first aid and spillage procedures. What the requirements of the emergency exits and routes. Doors must open easily and in the direction of escape. Emergency signs and lighting. Escape routes must be kept clear of obstruction at all times. Escape routes must lead directly to a place of safety. What are the significant should be considered for safety inspection? Substances or materials used. Traffic routes means of access and egress. Work equipment. Work practices such as manual handling. Work environment. Electricity. Fire precautions. First aid facilities. Welfare facilities. Workstation ergonomics. Housekeeping. What are the welfare facilities employer must provide? Sanitary conveniences. Washing facilities. Fresh drinking water. Accommodation. Facilities for resting and eating. What are the main topics of health and safety? Emergency procedures. Fire. First aid. Health and safety policy. Management and employee responsibilities for health and safety. Local procedures and work systems. Communication paths. What factors should be considered before a demolition? Location and disconnection of public utilities such as gas, water, electricity. Legal considerations that is ownership and local authority regulations. Obtain building plans. Assess soil structure. Identify contaminated land. How accident information can be utilized in the promotion. A safety committees can use the information to help focus on attention to high-risk areas. It can be used to influence the behavior of those at risk, that is displaying it on notice boards. Reactive monitoring on the management system's effectiveness. It can help justify and inform the allocation of resources to health and safety. It can be used on a national scale such as national campaigns. How to scaffold erection is safe. Inspect all components before use. Erect by experienced operatives. Supervise erection by competent person. Consider use for scaffold and type of structure needed. Inspect scaffold every days. Inspect scaffold after inclement weather. Inspection by competent person. How would you distinguish between hazard, risk and danger? Hazard is the potential to cause injury or ill health. This can include substances or machines, methods of work and other aspects of work organization. Risk expresses the likelihood that the harm from a particular hazard will be realized. The severity of the consequences if realized. For example, the number of people who might be affected. The nature of the harm they would suffer. What are the hazard classification? Hazards: physical, chemical, biological or psychological. Short-term, hazards which represent an immediate danger. Physical, being struck by a forklift truck. Chemical, burning from contact with concentrated cleaning fluid. Biological, contagious disease from birds in an aviary. Psychological, traumatic reaction to an accident. This could of course also manifest itself in a longer term. Hazards which could manifest themselves in the long term are Physical, repetitive strain injuries from typing several hours a day for many months or years. Chemical, long-term exposure to carbon monoxide by a heavy smoker. Biological, hearing loss due to noise exposure by a police firearms trainer. Psychological, morale of workers being worn down by harassment. Which method potential workplace hazards may be identified? Workplace inspections. Discussions between management and workers. Independent audits. Job safety analysis. Hazard and operability studies. Accident statistics. Define an accident. An undesired event resulting in personal injury, damage or loss. Define a hazard. A situation with the potential to cause harm or damage. Define a risk. The likelihood that harm from a particular hazard may be realized. What two types of hazard are there? Unsafe conditions and unsafe acts. What factors are assessed in determining the magnitude of a risk? The number of people likely to be affected by the harm from a hazard, and the severity of the harm that may be suffered. Identified in the ILO Occupational Health and Safety Recommendation. A. Take reasonable care for their own safety and that of other persons who may be affected by their acts or omissions at work. B. Comply with instructions given for their own safety and health and those of others and with safety and health procedures. C. Use safety devices and protective equipment correctly and do not render them inoperative. D. Report forthwith to their immediate supervisor any situation which they have reason to believe could present a hazard and which they cannot themselves correct. E. Report any accident or injury to health which arises in the course of or in connection with work. Identify external and internal sources of information. External data sources include national legislation, for example regulations. Safety data sheets from manufacturers and suppliers. Government enforcing authority publications such as codes of practice and guidance notes. Manufacturers/suppliers maintenance manuals. National, international standards. Information from local safety groups. Information from trade associations. Information from journals and magazines. Internal data sources include information from accident records. Information from medical records and the medical department, if you have one. Information from company doctors. Risk assessments. Maintenance reports. Information from joint inspections with safety reps. Information from audits, surveys, sampling and tours. Information from safety committee minutes. What are the organizational requirements for effective health and safety management? There should be a framework of roles and responsibilities for health and safety allocated to individuals throughout the organization, including the appointment of specialist staff and ensuring that general management roles and arrangements address health and safety issues. What are the three key elements of a safety policy? General statement of intent, dated and signed by the owner or chief executive. Organization, details of who is responsible for doing what with regard to health and safety. Arrangements for implementing the policy. In practice, these are often divided as follows: general arrangements, specific arrangements, which apply only to specific employees, which are intended to summarize an organization's responsibilities. Accept responsibility for the health and safety of employees and others by the identification, elimination and control of hazards. Provide sufficient resources to fulfill the policy. Monitor the application of the policy and revise it as necessary. Provide an authoritative signature. Demonstrate a clear commitment to communicate the contents of the policy to all employees.
Please give comment and suggestions.
Thank you.
Subscribe our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Thank for visit our channel. See you next class.
Thank you.